Taoiseach, I think it may be somewhat harsh, but also possibly fair to say that government is not particularly loved or cherished by the people. Most, I suppose, are not. I recently went back to review the relevant Fine Gael manifesto, remembering the deep sense of political change I hoped for with government change in 2011. It is the document of a party having spent a long time wondering what it would do when in power. It is loaded with brave, fresh ideas to remake the country. It has to be said it has an awful bang of Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party off of it. Particularly Enda's opening comments that the pre-existing political culture had abandoned the principles underpinning the republic that Fine Gael founded in 1949, had distorted the power and the resources of the state for the benefit of the few, not the many, and had allowed the interests of citizens to be pushed behind those of powerful elites. Strong words that speak to ethics, ambition and hope. Can I ask you, Taoiseach, was this just the stuff that politicians say to win elections? It certainly worked for the South East, winning Fine Gael 7 of the 14 available seats. A decade later, 2 seats are left. I was in the House yesterday for your somewhat, if I may say, dismissive exchange with Deputy Harkin at Leaders' Questions. She presented facts, cold, hard, irrefutable facts that shows the economic disparity in the North West, just like the border, Midlands and indeed the South East. Your response to those fact-based points was to throw out anecdotes. I have seen that playbook in action before. It's the one that I get when I make the economic disparity case for Waterford and the South East in this House. But the facts are clear. Government continues to ignore its own national planning framework along with its Ireland 2040 plan. It stuffs every game-changing project into Cork and Dublin, both now severely bloated, both now suffering from what can only be diagnosed as chronic economic affluenza. 2011 promises to the South East have turned to dust. The M24 motorway has vanished, inserted instead the new M28 Ringaskiddy motorway and the outlandish 400 million Dunkettle roundabout, both proceeding apace. Hundreds of millions spent in state aid and subsidies to regional airports, but Waterford Airport constructively shuttered. 24/7 cardiac care consistently frustrated against the backdrop of ivory back scratchers in the National Children's Hospital. No new courses or buildings after 12 years in power for Waterford University. Nowhere does the manifesto say spend a disproportionate amount of public investment in Dublin or Cork, but that is what we have gotten. Taoiseach, it's my opinion if this government wants the support of the common man, it needs to live its political ethics, ideals and history and stop acting like the government of Ballymegash. This government is letting entire regions stew in their anger. It is likely, when served, these dishes will be best served cold.
Thanks, Deputy. I think in my 20 years in politics, I've often been compared to a particular British politician, Jeremy Corbyn, wasn't the one. It's been the first time that I've been compared or aligned to him as a politician. I know I've moved to the centre in my middle age. I didn't think I'd move quite that far left, but thank you for giving us something to ponder anyway. Just in relation to 2011, Deputy, and you're right to say that my party has been in office in various coalitions since 2011. We haven't achieved everything we sought to achieve, but I think on the basis of any objective analysis, our country is a much better place than it was back then. We've gone from mass unemployment and mass youth unemployment to full employment. We've gone from a situation where the IMF were staying over in the Marion Hotel and calling the shots to a position whereby we're in charge of our own affairs again and can make choices. Our public finances are in good order. Educational attainment for children and young people has never been better. Our life expectancy has never been longer. And the UN, and I hope we all agree the UN doesn't vote for Fine Gael or Fianna Fáil or the Greens, they're objective. The UN consistently rates us as one of the top 10 countries in the world in terms of human development. That is not in any way to diminish the very real challenges that we have, particularly in relation to the housing shortage and access to healthcare. In fairness, Deputy, I think I responded to some very valid and correct facts that Deputy Harkin put forward with also correct facts, and there's a tendency in this House for people to choose their facts. I think it's okay to respond with other things. So long as they're facts and not opinions, I think we should be able to share them, and you get a better picture than if you look at them in the round, rather than one version of facts that are put out there to support a particular argument. And a point I made, and I don't think you were here, Deputy Howland was, and I could see him nodding at the time, the point that I made, in fact, or one of the points I made, was that while she made a very articulate case for greater investment in the Northwest, which she feels is the region that has been particularly neglected, I actually said that there were deputies here from the Southeast who would make the same case for their region. And I had you in mind, and all the deputies from the Southeast, because everyone makes the case for their own region. And the truth is, achieving balanced regional development is very difficult. Austria, similar challenges we have with Vienna. Denmark, similar challenge with Copenhagen. One big city of international scale, other large cities as well. And trying to achieve balanced regional development is a real dilemma and a real struggle for any small country with a big city in it. And you see that all over the world. London, in Britain, for example, the exact same dilemmas and difficulties arise. But we do have a programme that I believe is achieving much greater balanced regional development. Things like the National Broadband Plan, the biggest single capital investment in the history of the state. Things like the roads programme, which is almost all outside of Dublin and Cork, certainly outside of Dublin, and the Technological University, something I'm really committed to, making a difference in a lot of regions.
Oireachtas Shanahan.
Taoiseach, you may recall at the first nomination of Micheál Martin for Taoiseach, I said I wouldn't support it because basically as a protest at the time for our lack of 24/7 cardiac care. But what I did say was I look forward to engaging with government in a programme that showed equity and transparency at its core. And I would say to you, the South East population makes up 11% of this nation's population. I challenge you from any year from 2011 up to today to show me where 11% of capital funding, the state capital funding, has come into the region. In fact, I'd even challenge you to show me where 5% of capital funding has come into the region. There's no doubt that there's a significant disparity. And I think what Deputy Harkin highlighted yesterday, I highlighted to the Taoiseach last week, showing that discretionary spend for the South East was actually 40% lower than it is for the East Coast and South West. And those are facts, and they're international, irrefutable facts. And beyond this, can I ask you, when this corporation tax feeding frenzy is over, Taoiseach, you know, what will the South East have in terms of strategic infrastructural delivery to point to? Because when I look, I see the N24, N25, nothing spent on them. I see the talk of university action, nothing spent in the university. Not a building will be built there in 5 years to either accommodate students or to teach them. A Model 4 regional hospital not funded like its peers. No demonstrated improvements to our agricultural sector, which is going to suffer extremely badly over the next couple of years. And I would point out that our fledgling aviation sector has received no support. When you were down in 2017, government could have funded it for a quarter of the price now. That's the cost of not delivery.
Thanks, Deputy. I think when you look at government spending, you can't just look at capital. You have to look at current as well. And that covers areas like social protection, education, healthcare. Most of our spending is current, not capital. And when you look at capital projects, you can't just look at the ones over 200 million. You have to look at them in the round. Of course, the smaller projects go more to the more rural counties, and you can't discount them. But to answer your question as to what I think the South East will have in the next 5-10 years, much better roads. Was in the South East yesterday, travelling some of those roads. They've already improved dramatically. Just look at Enniscorthy, look at New Ross, more road investment to come. Much better jobs, and we see that happening already, particularly in Waterford City, with increased investment from multinationals. I think that's going to be a real positive. The expansion of the university, we're in negotiations, as you know well, to secure the Waterford Crystal site, nearly there, and also the new engineering building and on-campus accommodation. I think that's going to happen. We'll do our best to make sure we can get the airport operating again, willing to provide matching finance for that, and that still stands. And then, of course, the implementation of the National Broadband Plan, bringing high-speed fibre to every home, farm and business in every county in the South East and everywhere in Ireland, and that will be transformative. Probably only one of 3 countries in the world that will achieve that.